Our next guest is Cody Campanale. He's got a film called Teacher, and we're going to watch the trailer right now. We're going to come back and chat with Cody all about it, because it's going to be a fascinating discussion. So we'll be right back with Cody Campanale right after this trailer, Teacher.
The shortlist for the Atlantic Stage Apprenticeship will be posted on the board outside my office tomorrow. If I've been able to do my job and make you actors, your name will appear on that list. Sadly, there will be only 5 names.
People will love me. There's no other choice.
And we're back on Liquid Lunch here. We got Cody Campanale, writer, director,
yes,
and one of the producers of that short film called Teacher.
Yes.
Right, Cody?
That's true.
And you guys just got back from the Long Island Film Festival. It was the world premiere?
Yeah, we did. We opened there, I believe it was Tuesday. It was a great festival. It's been around for 14 years. Lots of great people come out to it. We had at least over 150 people there seeing the film. It's an interesting, it was kind of an interesting experience, because I feel like the audience for this film is more like people in their 20s, between 20s and 30s, you know what I mean? Like a younger audience, yet in Long Island, everyone was like over 45. So it was like kind of an interesting
Now, what was that? Is that just because that's the audience for this particular film festival?
I think that it's more like, Long Island, where we were was in Merrick, we stayed in Merrick and Belmore, which is farther out in Long Island. It's not in like one of the boroughs like Queens or Brooklyn. It's farther out. So it's more families and just I'm Italian, so there was a huge Italian population out there, so I felt really quite at home. But I felt like there was just you get that vibe. You know what I mean? There's some areas, like I used to live in Victoria, BC for a while, and there's quite an older population there. So it's just how it worked out, so it was interesting.
So with that slightly different than your target audience there,
exactly.
What was the reaction from people?
Well, it's interesting because I think it works with the younger audience, because I've had a private screening with a few people here in Toronto that are around my age range. I'm in my early 20s. And they love it, because that's who it was designed for. It was designed for younger people, and they get something out of it that's really unique. They get sort of the cheekiness in the film and sort of the edge that's in the movie. Whereas with this older audience, they find it more disturbing, actually, and they don't see the humor as much. But they still like the film. They're still very involved.
So what is it that they find disturbing, do you think? What is it? What is it in a nutshell?
Well, you know what I think it is it's sort of my tone in the film and sort of the way I treat the subject matter. Teacher is about 2 theater school students who want to be famous actors, and basically they find out that there's this apprenticeship program that only one of them will qualify for. So they begin this competition for their professor's approval, and end up rejecting their own morality in the process and coming to the conclusion that there can be no dignity in art if you want to succeed. So it's like this idea of doing bad things gets you further along than being a good person. You understand? So it's kind of that twist on the morality tale in a lot of ways. Yes. Exactly, which is quite disturbing when you think about it. If you think about being a bad person and stepping on everyone will get you farther ahead and help you win, is a scary concept, right? So that's what I think, that older, people who are much older,
it frightens them more.
Yeah, because I think that they can see, they understand the realities in it, whereas younger people, because we're in that process of going through that building a career and starting life and just realizing sort of what life is all about. Yes. It's not it doesn't hit us home for us yet. You know what I mean? It's just starting to get us thinking about it.
And I think that would be a frightening thought too for the older people that are
Absolutely.
thinking that, oh, if this is what the kids are all about
Yeah.
today, then
Yeah.
you know where are we
When am I
headed?
going to get stepped on?
Right.
And
Oh, totally. No,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And I think that you know, I think as a filmmaker, I'm achieving what I want to be doing by you know, having people thinking about these things and getting nervous and concerned, because then, you know, through conversation, it promotes change, right?
Yes.
Do you think that's actually true?
I
That,
do.
that you have to kind of toss your morality aside to get ahead?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I thought you were saying about change that can come. Yes. Well, I think it's a case. You know what I mean? I don't think it's true in every situation.
Yeah.
I do think, you know, I do a lot of research for all my films. Like they come from, you know, a lot of reading and a lot of, you know, thought. And you know, if you do look, I read this book called Snakes in Suits a little while ago, which is a book about sociopaths and psychopaths in the workplace. And you know, one of the things this book talks about is the idea that the leaders of some of the most successful companies in the world are psychopaths. There are people who have stepped on others in order to get to where they are, who have no moral footing. So I think it's true. I think there are people out there in the world like that.
It's an interesting because sometimes I think about this, right?
Yeah,
And
of course.
I've heard that same idea that you know, some of the most successful people are psychopaths
Yeah.
or sociopaths. And when I look around and I try to look at problems and solutions, part of me thinks that it's because our economic system, for whatever reason, often rewards the wrong behavior, and it maybe increasingly does that. Like, do you think the problem is, if this is a problem, is it getting worse, or is it kind of this is the way it's always been, or what do you think?
It's interesting. You know, it's an interesting thing to think about. You know, I think it's always been. I think it's always been there, because I think that, you know, that it's human nature to be constantly fighting between good and bad. You know what I mean? And constantly fighting between our two sides to our personality. So I think it's always been there. I think, you know, I think right now, I think it's more. I see it more than I did years before. That could be because I'm getting older. It could also be, you know, my generation. I find, like, you know, I find that a lot of younger people just are not willing to sort of look at themselves and think about themselves and think about what they're doing.
Did you win any prizes at this film festival, or what's next for the film?
Well, we did actually win a prize. We got we got an honorable mention for best cinematography at the film festival. So I got to thank that's Alex Datchev, but who shot the film. He's an excellent cinematographer in the city, and he did me a favor and came out and he just brought such a visual style to the piece that I think is just great. So yeah, so that's that, and then we're playing next week in Manhattan at the Manhattan Film Festival on the 25th of July, and then in August we'll be at the Montreal World Film Festival. So that's a pretty prestigious festival, so I'm excited.
And then what is the life of a film like this? Because it's a short film, right? What's the next step? And the money. When does the money start to flow in?
The dollar bills, right? Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, not the pennies.
Not pennies, yeah.
They tend to flow out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can get 100 pennies. I don't think that'll get you too far. But no, you know what? It's an interesting question. I mean, short films are, you know, designed not so much for, you know, to be like a money-making venture as much as they are more of an exposure piece, an opportunity to really show off an interesting idea or your style as a filmmaker. It's more resume material. So that being said, that's kind of my intention there. However, what I do plan on getting out of this is I'm working on I think I have, as a filmmaker, a unique style, and I think that
You would describe that as?
Well, like I said, this darker film, character studies of these emotionally disconnected youth, as we talk about, and I have a very tone that I feel is is very distinct.
Yes.
And so I feel like these short films give me an opportunity to practice with, practice that style and perfect it. But I mean, like, recently I just finished a new short film, Scars, which we shot mostly on 35 millimeter. And I actually got a grant. I got a $10,000 grant to put that film together. And I mean, part of the reason why I did get it is because I had Teacher. And, and I had these films on my resume that sort of, add sort of, momentum to you. So that's this was all about basically, getting me to the next step, which is to make a bigger short film, because Teacher was made on a very, very minuscule budget. Non-union actors, everyone worked for free, basically. And then I moved up, and then, hopefully next is a feature film.
So that's the next step, feature
Hopefully.
film. And what kind of, do you have an idea for that film yet?
Yeah, I got a couple projects in development, a couple scripts already. We're working on sort of perfecting them and sort of starting to create sort of a fundraising plan of sort of how we're gonna put the funds together. I think, it's so competitive. Like, short films is a competitive market, sure, but it's so much more competitive when you get into feature filmmaking, and there's so many other factors that are involved. And and then one of the biggest struggles right now is the raising money. How do you get the money to make these films? So I think I'm going to be looking more into crowdsourcing, which I know a lot of lower budget films. Friends of mine who've made films have gone that route and had incredible success, and have actually been able to make a little bit of money. So it's not an option that I think filmmakers should shy away from.
Well, maybe it's the way things are going to go, because I think filmmaking, even feature filmmaking, like any art form these days, it's like there's so many people doing it, and I think everybody needs to be creative, not only about everything, about the fundraising, about the distribution,
absolutely,
about the whole process of doing it.
Oh, totally.
So, I mean, I think it's up to everybody to think about how they can reinvent their medium.
Well, it's like, when I was at Long Island, they gave one of the awards they gave out was to Edward Burns, who's a filmmaker. They gave him a Creative Achievement Award. And Edward Burns, he's a very successful filmmaker and actor who did one of his last features. He made for $40,000 or $50,000, and he distributed it digitally. You know what I mean? He went through the internet with it, which I think is I don't think is something that we should forget about. I know everybody wants the novelty of feature films in a movie theater and the DVD release, but we're in an interesting time where what filmmakers were doing 10 years ago are not what they're necessarily doing now. Or where we'll go.
Well, listen, good luck with Scars and with the feature film that you're, I'm sure, going to make one of these days. Hopefully. Now, will people in Toronto get a chance to see Teacher?
They will. I mean, there's a few festivals that are in Toronto that are interested in the film. We'll see if it plays there. I don't have a specific date yet, but we will have a Toronto screening for the public. It's going to happen. Stay tuned on my website. You'll find out more details about that.
All right. So what's the website so people can
www.lessermen.ca. It's my production company. That's LESSERMEN.ca.
All right. Okay, Cody. Thanks for doing this today and telling us about Teacher.
Thanks.
Not to be confused with Bad Teacher.
Yeah.
Right?
No Cameron Diaz.
There must be something in the zeitgeist. Or something. Anyway, thanks for doing this.
Thanks, guys.
And Hilton, I guess that's it. The show today, huh?
Yes.
It's pretty exciting.
Sunshine and all.
Sunshine and all. In fact, we're going to go out.
Teachers' lessons, yes.
We're going to go out with that single by Baja.
Perfect.
And that's going to be it for the show. And I just want to invite people to stay tuned, because, as always, 2:30 on a Wednesday means that it's time for the Wine Ladies. So stay tuned for that. And we're going to go with Baja. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow at noon for more Liquid Lunch right here on thatchannel.com.